Welcome back once again. This is the Level Up Podcast, hashtag Level Up. It was developed to facilitate real, raw, and challenging conversations with minorities in the workspace and talk about their unique experiences. Today, we have on the couch the CEO and founder of Drunk Pitch, Jacqueline Rinehardt. How's it going, Jacqueline?
It's going well. Thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you for sitting on this virtual couch. You know, once we get back to some type of normalcy, we'll have, you know, the couch sits again. But could you kind of like give us a little bit of your backstory for those who don't know who you are, in terms of like where you come from, college, just,
Sure.
you know, the normals.
So I went to Ohio University in 2013, graduated with political science, thought I'd be a lawyer. Realized quickly I really didn't want any more debt, so just started working, and I found myself in insurance for my first real job, and to be fully transparent, got super bored and just started dreaming up, you know, what was out there and what my life looked like. So I launched my first company in 2015. It was called Picked Flowers, basically a online floral shop where you could customize flower bouquets based on their meanings, their colors. It was a super, super fun project, which really introduced me to the whole startup realm. From there, I realized I have so much to learn when it comes to starting a business. So I joined a startup out in the Silicon Valley area to try to understand more about the structure of a more mature startup. Did some business development for a couple startups, and then realized I really wanted to launch something of my own. So I joined forces with a technology innovation firm here in Columbus, Ohio called Tybara. And in partnership with them, I was able to launch my first native app called Shuffle, which was a platform where you can make playlists of places to go, things to do. So if you think of the experience you have in Spotify, it's super simple like that, but instead of music, it's actual places.
Oh, wow.
The whole goal is for people who are traveling to be able to find real personal recommendations of where to go and what to do that you can relate to. And yeah, so from then I just really had dove right into the whole tech world, and a lot of my job had become networking and trying to get my 30-second elevator pitch across to anyone who would listen, which was really draining. And so after a couple years, I was like, you know what, there has to be a better way to get people in the room and start genuine conversations without being like, hi, I'm Jacqueline Rinehardt, the founder of Shuffle. This is what it does. So I started an event where there was one rule, and it was you can't pitch your livelihood. And the whole premise of it was an open mic night for entrepreneurs. So we packed the room with like investors and technology people, entrepreneurs of the sort, and we listened to non-serious, silly business pitches on the night. It was a super well-received event. So from then on, started Drunk Pitch out of that.
So I've had a chance to actually see Drunk Pitch, and I would definitely probably participate in something like
I
that.
love that pitch.
I think it definitely fits my personality 100%. But for those who don't understand what Drunk Pitch is, please could you give us the non-LinkedIn version?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, Drunk Pitch is a place where you can go have a couple drinks and pitch the ideas that you probably share with your friends over a happy hour or something like that. I always use the example, it's like Tinder for pets. It's like kind of those things that get stuck in your head and you're like, I know it's crazy, but is it actually viable? And sometimes with ideas like that, they become blockers, and we just need to get them into the universe so we can stop talking about them. But they're also pretty entertaining. So we've had over 6 events now in Columbus, Ohio, both like private for industries and corporate, different types of events and community events. So some of them have themes where you have to pitch about. We did a industry night one where all of the pitches were like, and then
You guys just did one about COVID, didn't you?
Yes. So
on May 11th.
well,
That
it
was
was
actually
not
my
COVID
birthday.
themed to be.
Well, not COVID themed, but like finding
social distancing themed. So all of the pitches were to resolve some of the very new problems that we are all experiencing via quarantine.
In terms, I mean, you talked a little bit about like where the idea for Drunk Pitch came from, but where did you get the guts like to actually do this and think? Because when you think of VC, that whole space, it's from an optics perspective, it seems like a super serious, super grinding, and you have to be buttoned up and you have to wear 4 suits just to, make sure that you think you fit the bill. Like, where did you get the guts to actually do something like this?
So pitching to venture capital firms is super scary. And personally, I've done it a couple times, and every time it doesn't matter how comfortable I am. Like I'd like to say I'm not a super awkward person, but I know I can be when it comes to public speaking, as I think many people can be. But when it comes to being up there and being drilled with like, what are your 5-year financial forecasts looking like? And can you tell me how much revenue you plan on generating in 2021? And even if you're super buttoned up, you can still become super flustered. And so, honestly, I just had this hypothesis that if you weren't talking about your business, you might learn how to do those processes a little bit better because the stakes are lower. And so it lowers that barrier to entry of A, public speaking, which is first and foremost, but B, like pitching in general and sharing business ideas and being able to convey it in a way that is structured and flows. Because it is a learning opportunity, and as much fun as it might be to pitch Tinder for pets, you're still addressing a problem, you're talking about a solution, you're identifying the competition there, and really trying to portray how it's a business and how it works. And so that gave me the guts, because I was better at probably pitching my first pitch at Drunk Pitch, the very first event, than I was pitching Shuffle a couple months before.
Yeah, super interesting. I mean, I think the one that kind of sticks out to me the most is Campster.
Yeah.
Where it's like you send your kids to this camp and they have like this huge hamster wheel that they run on, and that they generate enough energy, they save on their expenses or daycare expense. So I thought that was really crazy and off the wall. But it actually won. So I thought that was really cool.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the TV pilot.
Speaking of that, has it always been destined to be like a TV show, or was this something that kind of happened after you guys filmed?
So it wasn't always going to be a TV show. In fact, a lot of my projections and my financials are built based on the live event for Drunk Pitch, and spreading from city to city in different markets. But what happened was people started asking for the footage, and they wanted to consume it digitally, and they wanted to be able to watch it, whether they were in Columbus, Ohio, or in Buffalo, New York. And so the more I saw that, the more I truly believed it would make great comedy and it would be super relatable. I think Shark Tank has done such a good job at integrating startup terminology, business terminology into our vocabularies, and setting up that structure of what it looks like to raise money for a business. And so to come in and have like a silly spin on it, I thought would fit really well. So at our 6th event, I kind of bit the bullet and hired a production team, and actually went on with coming out with a full 30-minute pilot episode for what it could look like as a reality TV series.
Yeah, I thought the pilot was really solid, actually, to be honest. I just don't understand how you guys could still maintain your business mindset when you're like that drunk? Because it's like free flowing alcohol throughout
Yeah.
this whole pitch, which kind of creates a lot more excitement, a lot more energy in the room because, you know, people are feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
How do you kind of manage that side of it?
So, I don't know. So have you ever been at a business event where you had a couple too many drinks or been at a
Yes,
happy hour where you're like,
absolutely.
uh-oh. I have too, and I try not to do that often, but I think balancing that line is really important, and it becomes somewhat of an art, you know. You're like, okay, if I have my third martini, I'm definitely not going anywhere near operating a vehicle, let alone having a conversation with that executive. But two might put me in front of the right people. So I started doing ticketing for the drinks just to make sure that it was less of a drink as much as you can
Hmm.
and less focused on creating silly ideas and more of a way to describe the atmosphere, which is a laid back environment. And so when you hear the word drunk, it can be off putting to some industries and some corporations who have been like, oh, we would love to do something like this, but you know, that doesn't really fit our brand. And my reaction is always like, do you guys do company happy hours? Like, do you guys do that at all? Because
Yeah,
the whole word drunk, in my opinion, is create like a laid back environment where everyone feels welcome.
that's a good point. Because I wonder, like, do you guys like seek sponsorship, or is this something that you kind of trying to generate revenue for yourselves and to put these events on?
So we have had the past events be sponsored, and so that looks in a lot of different ways. It could be indirect resources like providing the alcohol and
Hmm.
beverages. So I know, for example, Jim Beam and their Beam Suntory distribution center here has been a giant support for us, and so they've provided a lot of the prizes, which is always a bottle of alcohol, and we do offer it's not necessary, but we do have like a little mini shot before each person. That's something as well
Oh,
as the mixed drink. So we've received sponsorships in that way. We've also received monetary sponsorships, companies, and the way that looks is like title sponsorship. So for example, next one we're doing is sponsored by Gerber, which is a financial services firm in Columbus. And so that's going to be presented by Gerber. And so there's a lot of ways to do it, but
yeah, for you guys who are out there thinking about baby food, shame on you.
it is not baby food, yeah.
I think, okay, so what were some challenges that you had to face? You know, I think just you know, being a female, that presents its own set of challenges outside of the VC
Mhm.
space, or you know, starting businesses and things of that nature. What were some of the headways that you had to kind of manage through to start Drunk Pitch?
Definitely. I'd say the biggest challenge and something that I most actively work on is making sure that there's like full representation at the events. So, for example, the very first one we did, I think by the sixth pitch, it had been all white dudes who had pitched. And I'm like, no, you know, we're not doing that. So I got up and had something prepared just in case so that more women just in general would see that women can pitch too. And trying to be intentional and setting an example there has been really, really important to the way the future events looked, because after that, we had 3 and 4 women joining and pitching and reaching out to me to be a part of it. And just across the board, I think that something like this is something men just draw themselves to a little more often than women, not just in a laid back drunk pitch setting, but just in
Hmm.
pitching your business to a venture capital firm. In general, I know the amount of pitches that they hear that are from women are significantly less, and the amount of funding that's distributed to them in general is even further.
Yeah, and I'll give you something to react to, and also something to kind of add to what you just said. I think out of $85 billion in VC funding last year, only 2.2% were female founders, and every year, women of color get less than 1% of total funding. You know, how is Drunk Pitch positioned to kind of connect people to opportunities, remove barriers, and promote change in the space?
I think that the environment that we've set up with Drunk Pitch really, and I mentioned this before, lowers that entry barrier, which is public speaking, and allows more people to share the microphone. I think in a lot of like corporate environments, there's a lot of directors and executives that have a say in everything, and ideas that trickle downward and turn into opportunities and real products are often coming from the same people. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge believer that a great idea can come from any one of your employees, no matter where they are in the company, no matter what department, no matter what their background is. And so being able to feel safe and being able to practice in a non-serious way gives people and really like arms them with the ability to then take some ideas they have in the workplace and feel comfortable and prepared to move forward on them and share them with their boss or their coworkers, which I think is a super important step to getting anywhere, especially in the innovation space.
I think so. I mean, one of my mentors would say is giving you the at bat to actually work those muscles and go through the emotions. But there's also like VCs that are in the audience that are listening to these pitches that, even though they may be outlandish, you know, who would have thought that, you know, you would send your 12-year-old daughter with a stranger to drive them to school, right? And then we have Uber today. So, you know, have you had any, I guess, success stories yet in this short period in terms of like, you know, VCs that actually reached out to some of the contestants on your show?
I wouldn't say that we've had a product that's been picked up in particular, but I definitely think that the entrepreneurs themselves that are pitching, and I use that word very purposefully because a lot of these people haven't envisioned themselves that way in the past. Maybe their
Mm-hmm.
corporate job is in retail, or it's in something where they're a sales associate and they've never thought of themselves as an entrepreneur. I think they have been standing out more so and repeatedly get up and pitch new ideas. And so even though a product itself hasn't been developed, I think individuals have. And I think that whether it's VC firms or just people looking at hire individuals, their strengths come out when you're standing in front of a crowd. So I think it's helped create new opportunities for the presenters themselves rather than a product.
How have they? I'm when I look at my friends, sometimes when we're just drinking, some of them kind of get a little bit more recluse when they start to ingest alcohol. Have you noticed that also? And some people who may be a little bit more bubbly, or they actually knock a few back.
Yeah, so we had one instance where I did the drunk pitch event for a gaming convention. And this example always blows my mind because I had no idea what to expect. I'm not a gamer myself. So this whole network of people was a different ballgame for me. And we came in and did an event, and we had a total of 15 pitches, and of those people, I think one person had prepared a pitch deck. The rest of them had no idea that it was going on until they were there, and they were like, oh, I have bad game ideas that I'll share. And in that example and in that time frame, we had one person that drank too much and it wasn't making sense. So the whole pitch was like a little like, oh. So at that point, we put in more guidelines and stuff for people to better prepare for the type of presentation that the audience was looking for. But a positive thing that came out of that event was 8 of those 15 people had never spoken publicly in the past. And
Wow.
so this was the very first time all 8 of them had gotten on stage and not only said like, "Hi, my name is Jacqueline," but also shared with a crowd a crazy idea, which to me makes me happy, and it kind of makes it all worth it at the end of the day for organizing something that gave that opportunity.
I definitely agree. I think sometimes we can take networking way too seriously. I mean, it's simple as, hey, how's it going, right? And we overthink it. So it's the power of alcohol and
Yeah.
internet, dude. And but it's even more than that. I don't want to downplay it at all. I mean, I think you guys do a really good job at putting the environment together around that to facilitate that energy, to kind of spark a lot of those ideas. So what has helped you get to where you are? And what advice could you like give aspiring entrepreneurs, rather female leaders, to help them kind of to drive their goals?
Um, so I definitely suggest finders. That's been a huge way and also an outlet for me to be able to ask honest questions. I think the biggest piece of advice that I can give budding entrepreneurs, whether they're men, women, and whatever, is to know that you will be able to figure out whatever it is that's blocking you. And I think that beginning for me, I would come across something I've never done before, like MailChimp as like a really simple example, like, I don't know, I'm not a marketer. I've never taken a marketing class. So I don't know how to do MailChimp and I'm not the best person for this, but to me and to old me, I guess that would be a huge blocker, and I would think on that for weeks and not get past it until I, talk to someone who I considered an expert in that. When in reality, it's so easy to figure half of the things that are blocking you out your own. And just once you get past that, I always think to myself, like, that wasn't hard at all, and I don't know why I went so long without trying to figure it out. So trial and error, really, and just knowing that you're probably equipped for whatever you think you can do. And then if you're not, finding mentors that you feel comfortable talking to openly and honestly about your shortfalls, so that they can strengthen them.
Yeah, I appreciate that information. And I guess to kind of close, um, and how can we help, from our community to yours, try to help you, build a fire, so to speak, around Drunk Pitch and any other initiatives that you have moving forward? And where could they find, this Drunk Pitch?
Yeah. Well, thank you for even offering. I think that's amazing. I would love to see more people sharing their ideas. So if you guys have people who want to pitch, or you're watching this and you're interested in sharing a silly idea, I'd love to talk to you about that and make that happen. Also, if you are interested in hosting one, I think we're always looking for new opportunities there. And then finally, which I think would be really cool, is I'd love to have you judge at one of the next events. I think it'd be awesome.
I love to to judge one of the events for sure. Appreciate it. Really thank you for the fantastic insights, and we greatly appreciate you spending time with us to talk about Drunk Pitch and all the cool initiatives that you've done throughout your career. To the wonderful viewers, I hope you guys really enjoyed the show and were able to get a lot of value out of this. I think Jacqueline has a whole lot to offer. Please check her out. Check Drunk Pitch out. But until next time, leave a comment, smash the like button, subscribe. You know the deal. Hashtag level up.